Hi, I'm Beck and welcome to my channel. Today I want to show you how to make these lovely delicate quilled wildflowers. I'm just wanting to get more into the spring feel way of crafting, and I just thought if I make some nice little wildflowers there'd be good accents on my cards. So we've got a poppy, a buttercup, a forget-me-not, a daisy, a tulip or a crocus. I'm not quite sure which one that it looks more like, but you can make that decision. And then we've got a little bluebell bud. So let me show you how. Right, so the first flower that we're going to do is, you could either call it a tulip bud or a crocus bud. I'm not too sure of it. They look very similar when you see them out in the wild anyway. This is really easy. All you need to do is make 3 shapes. And it's 3 of the same shape. It's making a marquis or an eye. I've already made 2, because you only need to see me doing it once. And this is a half strip, and it is 19.5 centimetres long, this strip. So you can go on. So just wind up your strip as normal. And to keep a nice tight hold of the strip so it doesn't come off before you're ready. Right, got it all done now. Keep the end pressed against the coil and slide off with your nail. Then I just like to let it release just a little bit. Sorry, it's a bit blurred there. You can see, just a little bit. Just let some of the spring out in it. Tiny bit of glue. And stick it in. Then just hold it for a few seconds so it sticks where you want it to. And then we're just basically going to pinch either side of it. I like to try and get where the paper's stuck to the coil as one of the points. It's just personal preference, you don't have to do that, it's just so that it's down here. So like say if you're putting them all at the bottom, you're not going to see any joins in your strips because they're probably going to be filled up by some greenery or something. So what we need to do now is we're going to put 2 of these little marquises together like that way. Oop. I'm trying to do it as close so you can see it better. So that might be better if my tweezers, and then my hands are not going to be in the way you see what to do. Right, so you can put a little bit of glue on the inside of the shape. Don't need a lot at all. And then you're pushing them so they're going outwards a little bit. When it wants to work. There. It's just to try and catch them at the bottom. And then what I like to do is put a little bit of glue on the joint on the top, and as it dries it will soak down into the space that's between the 2 shapes, so it'll keep it together. And then you've got your third shape that's just going to go onto the top, so I'm just going to put a little bit more glue on top. Usually I might let them dry for a couple of minutes before I put this one on, but it's not much, it'll not make a difference, but that's just how I usually work. And then just pop it right in the middle, facing upwards. There we go. And then you've got your little crocus or tulip bud, whichever you want to go for. And then if you wanted to just colour the tips of the petals with an ink pad or something, you could just brush it against the ink pad, and then you get some of the lovely variant colours that you can see out in the wild. You know, like go from one colour to another, a bit like an ombre look. But yeah, that's it. So that's our first flower. Right, our second flower is going to be a bluebell. So obviously for bluebells you have quite a lot of these on one plant. Where did that come from? but I'm just showing you just the one because you can make them as big as you want them to be, or however many you want to have. So we're basically making one teardrop shape and 2 curled teardrops. So I've already made one of the curled teardrops. I'll just show you how to do one of those first. Well, in fact, no, I'll show you the normal teardrop because it's the same process for the curled one, just a little bit added on the end. So keep your tight coil. This is a full strip length, which is about 40 centimetres, I think it is altogether. And it's 2mm wide that I've got, because I wanted them to look all delicate. That's why I've gone for a thinner strip, and then just let it come out. And then add a little bit of glue. Just hold it in place. There we go. Oh. And then just squeeze at the top, and it will keep that end tucked in. So that's your first shape. So then we're going to need 2 of these bended or curled teardrops, depending on what you want to do. I've managed to get these thin quilling strips by just cutting some larger ones in half. It makes your stash go a lot further if you do it that way, if you prefer working with thinner quilling strips. I don't mind the thicker ones for when I'm doing embellishments for cards, but when I'm trying to just do like a decorative piece, I prefer them to be thinner to make them look more realistic, the flowers. Again, it's exactly the same process. Now it's up to you how large you make them, each of the petals, so just have a play around, see what you think to the different sizes. Plus it can depend on what size project that you're doing. Sorry, the camera's not focusing like I want it to. And then squeeze again. So we've got our teardrop like we did before. And then we'll just get a pair of tweezers and squeeze at the top and curl it round. Just hold it for a couple of seconds and you can let go. And then you need one to go either side. So if I've got that one the wrong way around. So same as the little tulip or crocus flower that we did, just put a little bit of glue in between. Because it's PVA, it'll just dry clear anyway, so there's no need to worry. And I'm working on a cork board. This is what I like to work on because the say if I'm using pins and things to keep my shapes in the right place that I want them to, you can push pins into it easily, and then it makes it easier for you to lift your shapes up off once they've dried. So that's why I like to work on a cork board. So got those two together, so one facing either direction, and then put some more glue on. Probably looks absolutely loads on there, but it's not actually, not, it's just because I'm zoomed in as much as I am. And I just place it on the top. And there we have our little bluebell head bud. I don't know the correct. Our next flower is these lovely little forget-me-nots, and it's really basic, this one. So I've just taken a full strip of my desired colour, a nice little sky blue colour, and then when it wants to go in, there we go. So we need to make 5 of the same shape, so we're now making 5 tight teardrop coils. So we just have a full coil and then we just turn it into a teardrop but we just don't release it like we have done on the other flowers. Right, so lay it flat and just push it down just to make sure that it's completely flat. And now, like before, I like to try and find where the end is, where the join is, and just pinch as hard as you can. And then just keep flattening it as you're doing it. And then you've got your tight teardrop coil. So as you can see, we're just putting them in a 5 formation. I've done multiple layers of these and put them on top so it looks more like a more full flower if you wanted it to be something else. This is just little delicate wildflowers that you see out and about. I just wanted to have a go at making some of these. Right, so I've got it in position. So before we put the centre on, I'm going to let this one dry a little bit while we make it. So I'm going to put the glue on now. Again, it's just putting it over the join area. You can also, once this side is dry, flip them over and put some more glue on the back if you want to make sure that they're really secure. It's just to get them to stay in the position that we want. And then for the centre I've just got a quarter strip. And then I'm just needing a tap. Glooping at the moment, but it will dry clear, I promise. So this is why I just tend to like to leave the flowers to dry a little bit before I put the centres in, but just for the video I'm doing them like this today. But as you can see, you get two little flowers. So the next flower is a little daisy. So we're just making it with the 8 marquis or eyes, depending on what you want to call it. So I've already made 7. And I've already made the centre coil. That's just a, I think it's a half a strip of yellow that I've used and just made a tight coil, which is easy enough to do. I'll just show you how to make the petal again. And then this time release it just a smidge. Again, depending on what size you want them for whatever project you're going to be using them for. And again with these ones, because sometimes you can get those little daisies that grow in the grass that have got like the pink tips on the end of the petals. So you could just get a pink marker pen or an ink pad or something and just colour the tips of this one, and it'll look like the ones that you find out in the wild. There we go. So I've got that. And then again we're just pinching at either end. There we go. Pinch at the top. And pinch at the bottom. And then you've got your marquis shape. So what I've done is I've put them all together into a circle. So because there's so many, I'm just going to put a little bit on the it's just a case of sticking our centre on. Again, I like to just put a little bit on top of the join so it'll seep down into the paper and just make it more secure for when it's drying. You're moving it around for whatever project you're doing. And just around a little bit. There we go. And there is our beautiful little daisy. Right, so now I'm going to show you how to make a little buttercup. So we need 5 little petals for the buttercup. So I've already made 4. Right way. So I'm just taking one full strip for each petal. I'm going to make some of those tight teardrops again, but we're going to turn. Okay, right, so we've got our tight coil. Again, pinch it at the top like we did before on the other one. But now we're going to just push it a little bit. If you don't feel confident at doing it with your nails, you can do it with the end of a tool or a pencil or just a little rubber. You're just making tiny, tiny little cup shape. Of course, that's why they're called buttercups. So I don't know how you can see how deep it is there. Not focusing the best, but they're not very deep at all. They're really, really shallow little cups. And then you just want to put a little bit of glue into the bottom of the cup. And then use a paintbrush just to spread it over. It's just to keep it in the shape of the cup. And then we need to make the centre. Now the centre of a buttercup looks all sort of bumpy, if that's the right word, because there's lots of little stamens. So what I've done is I've taken a 1/4 strip of yellow, I think it was a 5mm strip that I used, and I just used a pair of scissors and I just snipped really close together. You can get fancy tools to do them, but you can do it with just a little pair of scissors, just the same. So I'm just going to put this into a tight coil. So I have the cloth. Put the end of the strip that's not been cut into the quilling tool. You have to be a little bit more careful because you've cut down the little slits in the strip. It tends to want to push out at the top, so it's not as tight as what it is when you're making a normal coil. So you just have to be careful. You can put little dots of glue as you're going along if you're more comfortable with doing it that way. There we go. And push it off. Hold it in. So now at the minute it just looks like a coil, but once we spread out the little strips that we've made, it looks more like it should. Right, so once the stamen's done, what we just need to do now is put the buttercups, well the petals of the buttercup the right way around, and then just pop it up to it. Make sure that your petals are facing the right way up. Once your flower's fully dry, you can spread the centre out a bit again if it's not as out as much as you'd like it to be. This is one of the flowers that's delicate to put together, but it's more well, it's easier to fidget with it once it's got a bit of stability from the other petals on it. I'll show you with the dry one. That's it. It's a little delicate buttercup. Looks a bit of a gloopy mess at the moment now because the petals are not in the full positions that they will be. But I assure you it does work. And then just push them down a bit if they're a bit too much of a space for you. And that's it while it's drying. But then once it's fully dry, you can pick it up, and then you can spread out the middle again if you're sorry, going off there, and then just put the flower in the palm of your hand and push down on it, and it'll make it more into a cup. Yeah, and that's our little buttercup. Right, our last flower is a little poppy. So for each of the big petals, which we need 4 of, I've just got 1 full strip of red. And we're going to be making a rounded triangle shape. Right, so we want these to be quite large, so we're just letting it unravel. Don't want it too much. Right, so we're not wanting sharp points on this as a regular triangle. Sorry, I'm forgetting you can't see what I'm doing all the time. So you've got your circle. So again, we're going to have one point that's going to be underneath, so I'm going to have that one is where the end, where I've stuck it together. So I'm just pushing that one down, and then so to get the rounded triangle, try and get it to get that out of the way. So hold it in between your fingers where the point is, and then just push with your other finger, just so that it goes into that sort of triangle shape, but just try and keep the points rounded rather than going into a full triangle shape. So you need 4 of those. So I've got 3 other ones made. Now if you want to use 3D glue gel, you could use that and put 2 points together and then tool the opposite way, but I'm just doing it like this way so it's a little bit easier for you to start off with. And that's the base of our poppy. And then for the centre, I've just got 1 full strip of black and I've turned it into a tight coil. And then we're making sort of a dome shape. So I'm using the end of my quilling tool again, and I'm just gently pushing it in to form it into a dome. Do it gently, because if you do this where you get thin strips and you do it too fast, it can make the strip come out and then you'd have to wind it all up again, and you don't want to be doing that. So it's just a tiny little cup shape. It's not very big at all. And then I'm going to have it face down, so I'm just putting a circle of glue like that. And then just pop it in the centre. And then that's your poppy. And again, this is one that you can, once it's fully dry and then you push it down in the palm of your hand, you can make it more 3D Just you've got to be careful while it's drying. So that's our final flower. Right, that's our 6 little delicate wildflowers made. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.